On screen, you can see the Forge timeline stretching out. A line of fire marking the past, the present, and the future of what we're building.
I will never be the same, 'cause that's what it takes.
Welcome to the Your Consulting Business Podcast. My name is Russell Pearson, and this is episode 145. Today we're doing something different because for the first time, I'm going to reveal the entire Forge universe. So everything we've done in the past, what we've currently got available, and what's about to happen in the very near future. Now, if you are watching this episode, I'm going to show you the map. And if you're listening to this episode, don't worry, because I'm going to walk you through every step of the journey. Now, before I talk about where we've been, let's talk about where we are and the current state of what consultants are taking advantage of within the Forge universe. These are the things that enable a consultant to grow a successful consulting business. And the first of those things is the Codex. The Codex is our end-to-end system for getting clients. It creates client flow in the business, which means clients flow into the business, and then once we get them results, we allow them to flow out so that we don't get stagnation happening. You know, there are a couple of things that get in the way of a consultant growing a successful business. One of those things is holding on to clients rather than releasing them when we've actually got them a successful outcome. And so the other of those things is referrals. Like, referrals are great. We like referrals because they are the cream on top. They show that you're actually doing good work, but we don't rely on referrals. So many consultants are relying on referrals and they almost go to starving when they're not receiving those referrals. So referrals are not something you can rely on. You can't say, well, I'm going to get 10 referrals this week, so I know I'm going to grow by X amount. You need to put a system in place, and that's what the Codex does for the consultants we work with. Next is outcome expertise, and we deliver them through the expert framework. You know, there are all sorts of people who have expertise, but a lot of the time that's just academic. They don't have the expertise that gets someone a result. And even if they've been working for maybe 10 years and they are getting people a result, they can have trouble communicating that. And so what we use is the expert framework, which is a fantastic communication model that allows people to identify these are the symptoms and problems you're suffering from, these are the outcomes that you want instead, and we make it easy for people to communicate that to their market. But not only is it used for communication, we also use it for diagnostic, we use it for intellectual property creation, and some people are even using it to productize their knowledge and turn it into a course. And then we've got the authority brand, which is the thing that has made a whole bunch of consultants famous. Now, you might not want to be famous, completely understand that. Fame is not all it's cracked up to be. But if you want to be positioned within the ideal market, in the minds of those consumers, so that you can be the consideration that they've got, the person that they want to help them take the steps, then the authority of brand will help you create that position. So it's all around brand being not just know, like, and trust, but a brand that creates know, respect, and trust. And so you are positioned as the mentor so that when they're ready to move ahead, yours is the name that comes to mind. Underpinning a lot of that training and coursework is the Consulting Guild. Now, the Consulting Guild gets access to all the training, but its community element is probably the most valuable. You know, it can be lonely to be running a consulting practice, always being seen as the mentor rather than part of the crowd. And so the Consulting Guild allows you to come together with other peers in the industry and have conversations about the challenges and opportunities of your role. Now, we engage with all sorts of different activities, and we're going to talk about some of the new things that we're going to be doing in there soon in the very near future. But for right now, it is an amazing place for you to grow your business. And for those people who are at the start of their journey, it's an amazing place for you to get the education that you need in a community that is incredibly supportive. Once you're ready, you can take the next step, which is really the Forge Business Program, the heart of the entire universe. This is where a business takes an accelerated step. We use sprints, 6-week sprints, to enable you to get results faster. Now, the Forge is not for everybody. The Forge is the place that you engage when you're ready to grow. And so if you're looking to grow your business, if you've already been successful in helping people achieve outcomes, if you've already got a business with clients, then the Forge may be the place to go to really take it to the next level. And so people in the Forge, yes, they have clients. Yes, they are systemizing and automating their business. They're adding digital elements in, but then they're actually making a decision. Do I want to grow a lifestyle business? Or do I want to grow a business empire that ideally runs without me? That's the opportunities that the Forge gives you, and that's the sort of work that people are doing in the Forge right now. Now let's talk about where I've been. There's something you might not know about me, which is I was supposed to be an artist. You know, my father wanted me to be an art restorator, and I did art classes at a very young age. And interestingly, there was a moment in time in 1988 that kind of changed everything, which is that I took my artwork, I put it on a t-shirt, and I put it in a store in the local craft shop. And it sold. It sold for $5, which was the first $5 I ever made in business at the age of 10. And since that moment, I've had a fascination with business. And so whether it's been through the various and fantastic mentors that I've used throughout the years, or whether it's been my own journey of learning to grow businesses, I've been fascinated with the topic. And so not only have I been able to grow my own creative agency, but I was able to lecture on the topic and speak about it all around the world. Now, along the way, I became a consultant. And while the marketing agency was still running, I was a consultant for many multinationals, and I was sort of balancing these two worlds. Now, there came a point in time when I wanted to make a change. It was interesting. The thing that actually propelled me forward was going back to my roots as an artist. And I rediscovered art by discovering blacksmithing. I actually started blacksmithing in my backyard and became a backyard blacksmith. Now, since that time, I've now expanded that to have my own workshop where I have an anvil, I have a forge, I have my hammer, and what I've discovered through the process is that the process of forging is very similar to the process of building a business. You take a raw material, you heat it up to a critical temperature, you hammer it into shape, then you take it through a process of hardening and tempering so it is strong and long-lasting. Right? And so through understanding that, it propelled me to start something new, which is the Forge. And so I sold my creative agency and I started the Forge. Really for those people who are specialists in what they do, to not only create consulting businesses, but to be able to grow them in a way that they're not sacrificing their lifestyle. And it was interesting because the first iteration of the Forge probably didn't work the way that I had hoped. I would teach something new every week to the participants and they would run off in this direction, then I'd teach them something new and they'd run off in that direction. And so what we were missing was focus. And so we've developed that program over the last 5 years, and now not only is it helping people get success, but it's helping them get success so much faster. And so that's how the Forge came to be. But now that we have these elements in, where does the future take us? Now, talking about the future, I want to break it up into two parts. There's the distant future and there's the very near future. And the very near future is here right now. So next week, the week after, next month, we are already adding more education, more tools, and more courses to the more than 30 tools and educational courses that are already in the Forge and the Guild. But we're adding 2 more things this week. The first of those is a new book. It's called Becoming the Select Consultant, and it's for those people who are merging into the consulting space. They could be from a corporate background, they're an expert in what they do, but now it's time for a professional change in season. They want to start a consulting practice. Now, there's also those people who run successful service businesses, and they've been doing that for years. They're a specialist in what they do. But now it's time to get off the tools and maybe start to mentor and advise people around that speciality. So this book has been specifically written for you if you're one of those 2 people, and I suggest going and grabbing it. And even if you're an existing consultant, you might want to grab it too, because it shows you a path to get at least $500,000 in profit only working 4 days or less. And so that book is now available. You can get it at the link below, and you can go to businessofexpertise/book and you'll get access to that immediately. The second thing is the axe. Now, I talked about this in a recent episode, which is really the new AI-powered software specifically created for consulting businesses. So if you're a consultant, especially a consultant who either wants to do more lead generation, who wants to work with large organizations, and you want a productized model that you can use, if you want to scale the things that you're doing, then the axe might be ideal for you. Now, we're an education partner within the Forge universe. We are helping people onboard into that product. We don't own the product, but we are a partner in working with it, which means that we have special access and can show you some of the tips and tricks to implement this in a more effective way. So if you haven't already put an expression of interest in, go and check out the episode all about the axe, and you might want to put an expression of interest in, and you too could be shown a pathway forward using AI in your consulting business. And so when I look out into the future of the Forge universe, I'm excited because I know what's coming. Every single thing specifically designed and built for consulting businesses. And so if you're not already part of this universe, I would love to invite you to join, because then you can be one of the people who was there when it happened, when consulting changed, when technology came through, and instead of us trying to survive, we actually succeeded. And that's because the old way of consulting is dying. There is a space right now for the new modern consultant, right? The new modern Merlin, the person who has more impact and ability to shape the world. And so come and join and be part of this universe and become part of what is happening, the change that is happening in this world. Because there are all sorts of stuff coming down the pipe. And yes, we're going to be engaging in artificial intelligence tools. There is a sequence and a suite of artificial intelligence tools specifically being designed for consultants. Now, unfortunately, I see all sorts of people out there creating AI tools that are novelties. They're just stuff that people do because they can. We're designing it specifically for the challenges and opportunities that are there for the modern day consultant. So one of the pieces that's already being beta tested is about those consulting conversations, about having critical conversations, about being able to practice those. So when you're there in front of a real life human, you become incredibly effective. We're also showing people how to build campaigns with artificial intelligence, not in the way that you see all sorts of coaching businesses teaching campaigns and running campaigns that feel a bit ick. We're actually running campaigns to position you as the authority in your sector. We're taking the skills and the lessons from the authority brand, and we're enabling you to leverage and automate those in new and faster ways. So AI and a suite of tools will be part of that new future. But not only that, we want to help you keep momentum, because sometimes business can be lonely. And so we want to incorporate the group element to the work that we're doing, especially in the guild. So every single month, we're going to be running these micro challenges. They're fun ways of you helping to create more momentum in your business. The first of those next month that we're going to be running is all about building bigger lists of people so that you can communicate one-to-many in a much easier way. So it's all about leverage.
You notice this list, huh? I'm always making lists.
We're also going to show you how to connect with the influential people in your sector so that you can get access to anything that you need operating within your market. Not only do you get that, but we're going to be adding another program to the Forge, which is going to take scalability to a whole new level. More on that to come. But of course, we're going to continue with a whole bunch of new episodes of the Your Consulting Business podcast. So if you haven't already subscribed, I'd love you to subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when the next episode becomes available. Now, what I love about this is it's no longer just my timeline, it's ours. This is a place for you to get supported, for you to play, right? And so the question is not whether the Forge universe exists, because it does. The question is, what is your place inside it? Until next time, my name's Russell Pearson. Stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.